What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Beyond the Gray Media. This is Josh here, checking in with you out there in YouTube land. It's late, and I admit it, dude. I'm sorry. I live in a college town, and they just shipped our team off to the Big 10, the Big 15, the Big 26, what the hell ever it is, and I had to watch it on Peacock because they got this new blackout rule, and it just ended. It was like one of those Pac-12 great games. Dude, great game. And I'm ashamed to say, instead of working on new content, I was watching football. I'm sorry. But what I did watch this morning with my lovely wife and my son was Beetlejuice, and I am afraid to say that I'm let down. I did not drink the hater. I drank the haterade. I'm not on the bandwagon, and I feel bad about it. Maybe by talking to you guys, I can get my feelings out there, and through ranting, I can come to a better place in my heart with Beetlejuice. But a cool thing, instead of just calling it Beetlejuice, funny story, when I was probably like 18, I drove to this city called Walla Walla, Washington, and I was going to a Suncoast, I believe, and I was buying, I think I was buying like Pet Cemetery on VHS, and the guy's like, "Hey mom, if you show your ID, you're not gonna have to pay any tax." And I was like, "Oh sweet dude." So I gave him my ID. I was from Oregon at the time. And he was like, "Hey man, remember, Walla Walla Squared loves you." And so let's just call it Beetlejuice Squared. Beetlejuice Squared. Let's get into it. When there's spoilers, I'll put my finger up. I'll let you know that I'm fixing to spoil shit for you. But until then, let's get. Guys, let me give you the straight dope. We're not going to hit you with an intro or any of that other BS. I just want to get my thoughts out there really quick on Beetlejuice. This family, this is my wife's copy, her original copy from when she was a little kid. I've got a copy. We got multiple copies of this movie on VHS. Beetlejuice is so important to this family, to me in particular, and my wife. Like, we are diehard Beetlejuice fans, and that doesn't make the new movie any less crappy, or doesn't change a lot. My story with Beetlejuice, like, I went to a birthday party when I was like 7, and we watched 2 movies, and that was the first time I ever had a beer, and it was a Budweiser. And is that why it's the king of beers? Maybe. But we watched Beetlejuice and Look Who's Talking. And I remember the amniotic fluid from Look Who's Talking was boring the kids, and one of the older kids put on Beetlejuice, and the snake scene, the Deo, the like possession scene, my life was never the same. Beetlejuice ruined my childhood. I thought it was the best damn thing. It scared me half to death as a little kid. I love Beetlejuice. I tried to go into this new movie with tempered expectations. I tried to come in just wanted to be fair. And this morning my wife and I were sitting on the couch, and we bought these tickets like a month ahead of time, and she was like, hey, just so you know, our friend Sarah, she went and watched it, and she said she had fun, right? She had fun, right? Like, I'm gonna be a critic or something. I think she was just trying to set me up. Like, there's some things that are different, because I was like, I'm not watching trailers, I'm not reading reviews, I want to go in fresh. I don't need a lot, I just needed to honor the original, and I'm gonna have a good time. And she was like, no, totally. And so we go in, and we did the whole thing. We got the biggest popcorn bucket, the biggest soda, the icy, snuck in a bunch of candy and crap, right? Like, we were set up. My son was excited, Beetlejuice gear on. We were good to go as a family. The McCullough family. We were ready for Beetlejuice Squared, and we sat down and it started, and I was like, whoa, this is kind of interesting music. This is kind of an interesting kind of fade into the story, like, right? Like the camera shots. I'm like, this is very familiar. And then we get an awesome cameo from one of my favorite actors from It's Always Sunny. Awesome scene, and I'll let you know when there's a ton of spoilers coming, but the movie just kind of felt stilted from the beginning, and I was like, this is Tim Burton, right? Like, it definitely feels like Tim Burton. This is him. The color palettes, the choices, everything that's going on, and we get this awesome scene with this person that knows Beetlejuice very well, and they're having a hard time putting themselves together, so to speak, and that was a really cool scene, and I was like, okay, cool, what's gonna happen? And then I just feel like there was just this lull in this movie for at least 15 to 20 minutes where I'm introduced first to like Winona Ryder, and you know, she's doing great, right? She's got this little talk show, and we meet this husband character that I wasn't buying his I wasn't buying whatever crap he was selling. I just didn't think he was, I just didn't like him. I was like, this, and I know he was trying hard and they were trying to like lead us in that direction, and that's a Tim Burton kind of cliche. I didn't buy it. I was like, I don't like this guy. This is so predictable. And then we get like this callback to some original cast members that, you know, aren't going to be in the story. And I just felt like I just felt cheap. I just felt like they just whitewashed over it. And one of these characters, if you've seen the movie, you know who I'm talking about. They had to, because of his history and his past. And, you know, God be it for me to say he should be in the movie, because I thought that the shark thing, I thought there was a lot of cool stuff to that, but it just felt cheap. I was looking at my son, he was clapping, he was having fun, there's a soul train going, right? Like he's getting into it. I tried a different kind of candy, right? And I was a little influenced when I watched this movie. I was in the right headspace to enjoy it. I tried some bottle caps, I tried some freaking peanut M&Ms, I tried some peanut butter M's, I tried some popcorn, I had a little icy, I had a little cherry Coke. I was set up, dude. I had extra butter, I was good to go. And it just didn't give it to me. I don't like these new characters. I think that's what it comes down to. For 40 minutes, I mean, maybe it was less than that, but when I start to check my watch to text somebody that I'm not feeling this movie, you've lost me. And I'm not hard to please, man. I love B-horror, schlocky, terrible movies. I love gore. I don't need a lot of story. But this movie decides, like, we're going to go in 150 directions. There's going to be all these different plot points. I even hate saying those words because I'm a horror fan. And I'm a Beetlejuice fan. When they just showed the David Geffen... Oh, it's not on the back of this one. There's another version I think that's got... When they showed the David Geffen G, right? And they just circled it, I was like... This, an interview with the vampire dude, and then all the white zombie stuff. This brings me back to my childhood. This is exactly what I need for this movie. And I just felt like it was cheap. And I know there's a ton of money in this movie. I just didn't buy it. I didn't buy it. And then so those are my negatives. There's 150 different stories with 150 different characters that I just don't give a damn about. I just didn't care about them at all. I love Jenna Ortega and other things. X Wednesday. I feel like she's dreadful in this. She's sorrowful. She's just like complaining. She's like Lydia, if only like she's not as cool. And then we've got this other plot point with Lydia and things that are supposed to tie together, and I can see ghosts and all, but you can't see this. Okay, spoilers from here on out. Spoilers. What the hell's up with Lydia saying she can see any kind of ghost except for her actual dead husband? And then when we finally get to the dead husband, she doesn't... Oh, there is the G. Dude. She doesn't care for him. She doesn't caress him. She doesn't seem like she even wants to be around him. She's just like, yeah, you died by boat accident. We don't know. There's piranhas hanging off your neck. Cool little callback to some effects and stuff. Like all the waiting room scenes are really cool. Why doesn't she care about him? And then all of a sudden, her daughter's got to like... What's her name? Ashton or Aston, whatever. The saving grace of this movie, besides Michael Keaton, was Catherine O'Hara. Her turn is like this kind of like, she's just flicking crap with these little one-liners. I think she's really the only reason that I even kind of like this movie for the first 60 minutes. She saves it because the new, love interest for Lydia is horrible. I know that he's trying to get, it's just, I didn't like the acting. I was like, this is so lame. And then I didn't really like Jenna Ortega's character. I didn't like it when she run into the dude that's a ghost who killed his parents. That's a cool effect when it shows him through the house, but like that's all we can really do to get her into the underworld. She's got to see a ghost and have a romantic interest that goes nowhere onto the soul train, and he just like flips this past. Cheap. I just felt I felt cheap. What I'm gonna say about this is it's a Tim Burton movie and it is zany. So I left the theater, I was about a 4 out of 10. My son was like, didn't you love it? He's like, that's the best movie I've ever seen, Dad. He was like dancing to the Soul Train stuff, and even when that MacArthur Court song comes on, he was like clapping. I was like, dude, you gotta sit down, we can't dance in the aisle. Like, he was having so much fun. Packed theater, right? I got all the candy, I got all the crap you need to have a great time. Anyway, it ends, and I started thinking about the movie, and there's so much things towards the end that are fun with the sand sharks, but still, Beetlejuice is like his ex-wife. Like, that's all we get. We get this awesome staple scene at the beginning that's awesome. Then you got this callback to where they're like getting married in their courtship, and it's kind of freaky. It's black and white. It's like something out of like Curse of Frankenstein or something. And then at the end, she just dies by a sand shark. What the hell? Like, I didn't get it. I did like that last little 7-minute montage though, when they're like, it's the wedding scene. I thought that was killer. I thought the music choice was good. It was very bizarre. And I do love the callback to Deo, you know, with the choir and they're at the husband's funeral or whatever. I thought that was really cool. This movie for me, I've moved up since I've thought about it. I've watched a couple other people's reviews. I think I'm in the minority here. I think I'm going, I was 4 out of 10. I might have moved up to a 5. 5.5, 6, maybe. So if you're counting track on the 5 stars, I'm right down the middle. I'm 2.5 stars. I just felt like, for the most part, this movie was just not what I wanted it to be. There's a really cool cameo. There's some pretty cool like effects down in the underworld where people are like, you know, shoving hot dogs, and there's like some cool deaths in there. There's a little bit of good gore. There's some kind of like hinting at the afterlife. There's some comedic stuff from Catherine O'Hara that's great. Beetlejuice is barely in this movie, and I know he said that he was, but that should have been a warning as to like why I didn't want to watch this and should have tempered my expectations even lower. Michael Keaton said, hey, don't be expecting a lot of Beetlejuice. He's neutered in this movie, dude, and I know that he's not supposed to be in it a lot, but he's just kind of like, you know, I'm just kind of Beetlejuice, and no, it says right here in the there's nothing zany from him. He's got a couple things where he spills his guts and he pulls his face off. Everything's implied. He's not creepy, he's not pedantic, he doesn't do anything for him. I love Beetlejuice. This is my heart right here. Love this movie. Beetlejuice squared. Beetlejuice. 5 out of 10. I think it's worth seeing on the big screen because of the sound design and because it's Tim Burton and because of the colors and the visuals. There's some cool stuff at the old house. There's some cool stuff with the sculptures. We had Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin in this movie. We didn't need these new characters. I hate them. I'm a massive Beetlejuice fan, and I just feel, and what do you expect? It's been 30 plus years, right? What are you gonna do? I'm old too. I could be wrong. This is a movie for kids. It's PG-13. They do have one great F-bomb in there, and then they kind of censor another one. Guys, thanks for being here. If you like Beetlejuice, let me know what you loved about it. Go in with lower expectations if you're a big fan of this film. If you're a horror fan, there's some callbacks. There's a lot of like nods to classic stuff, and there's some stuff from the original that they try to get right. But for me, I just feel like it was a miss, and it kills me to say that. Guys, I'm watching Dead Girl again. I'm watching some creepy stuff because I want to review that, and I'm going to see what we're going to see, because a lot of that stuff has heavy subject matter. So we'll see what happens with it. But until next time, take care of yourselves. Justice for Beetlejuice. Cheers.